any other takeaways, those are the few that come to mind. Thank you to Caroline, Jonas, McKeel.
Rock and roll.
Is that you? Okay. Anyway, that's a great way to start it. Hi, everyone.
Amazing way to start.
Yeah, just some mysterious person is Zoom bombing our Zoom chat, our LinkedIn Live. Thanks ever so much, everyone, for coming. We'll let Matt just sort out his microphone. Whilst we're doing that, it'd be great to know about where you're all dialing in from. So it's been really great to see kind of SDRs and SDR leaders that have joined our chats and our LinkedIn Lives over the last few months. So let us know where you're dialing in from. That'd be amazing. Whilst we wait for Matt to sort himself out, my name is Dave Wilkins. I'm founder of SDR Leaders of EMEA. And today for our LinkedIn Live, we've got a really important topic about how to empower your SDR leader to make changes that boost motivation. So it's really critical as a leader to try and figure out what makes your team tick and figure out those kind of triggers that you can be using to get those people as motivated as possible. So I'm Dave. Why don't we introduce the rest of the gang here? Matt, we'll go to you first, see if it's working, the microphone.
Yeah, that was really weird. Everything started playing. Classic technical error, but I think I can hear you now, which is great. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Matt, head of growth at Prospio. Live and breathe sales training. Trained about 3,500 sales reps, and about 1,000 sales leaders on how to do cold calling, emailing, you name it. Been there and done it.
It's brilliant. And then Mafalda.
Similar introduction, maybe not as many people as Matt, but yeah, I've been doing business development for many years now, based in Berlin. I'm now head of business development at UpCloud, so I also train and try to keep my team motivated. I'm from Portugal. I just launched a book in Portuguese. So if there are any Portuguese speakers, a lot of things we're going to talk today are in the book as well. And yeah, looking forward to speak about this topic because it's something that I really, really like to talk about.
Yes, brilliant. And yeah, I'm sure Mafalda will share the link for how to buy the book. If I could speak Portuguese, I would read it, but I can barely speak English. But I think it'd be a good book. It's going to be great. So the topic today in our LinkedIn Live is sponsored by Comsor, is all about how to boost motivation. So we're going to have, if you have questions as we go through, please add them into the chat. Matt and Mafalda will answer them as we go along. If we miss anything, we'll try and get those answered post-event. But maybe let's start off with the first question. And Mafalda, maybe start with you. Are spiffs and incentives the best way to boost motivation on your SDR team?
We say in Germany for this kind of questions, Jein, which is ja plus nein, right? Yes, no. So the short answer is no. The long answer is yes, but you have to get your basics right. So what I mean is many times the source of demotivation for sales teams are no clear ICP, no training, unrealistic targets, unfairness treatment, yada, yada, yada. So if that's what's causing your team to be demotivated, it's not a spiff that will fix that. That's a short-term fix. If your team is, generally happy, the processes work, your ICP makes sense, you've got them trained, and you need a little boost so they can, have a little extra, boost to end the quarter well or with more results, then you can use the spiff. But don't use the spiff for structural problems that you should be looking at. So that's my answer.
Matt, what do you have to add to that?
I mean, what a statement. And, I definitely know there may be some people listening who are like, oh, but I'm using this to fix a problem, maybe. Yeah, I honestly think like if you've got all those things sorted, spiffs can be super powerful, especially end of quarter pushes, team
Precisely.
collaboration. That's when we should be using spiffs. It should be about injecting a bit of fun into everything we're already doing, but everything has to be working to some degree already. Otherwise, you're using a short-term fix to try and fix something long-term. It never works that way. So end of quarter fun, team collaboration, that's when I think they work wonders.
So if it's not just spiffs that are the way to boost motivation in your team, what else should we be looking at as SDR leaders to help keep a continuously motivated SDR team? Mafalda, I'll turn that to you.
So I like to be proactive instead of reactive. So I try to tackle motivation before teams are demotivated. So it's easier to avoid the teams being demotivated than having them on a demotivational state and bringing them back to, to normal, to business as usual. So what I really try to make sure that they never get to a level of frustration that causes demotivation. And what I mean by this is I really try to first listen to them in every one-on-one, ask for constructive feedback. What is working? What is not working? What would make your life easier? While they're still happy, while they're happy to give you constructive feedback, not complaining, which are two different things. And solve those issues, because you as a leader, you are an enabler for your team and you are a problem solver. That's your job in the end of the day. So you have to remove obstacles or you need to enable them. So that's you should be doing at all times. And if you're doing that proactively every week, it's very rare that they get to a level of demotivation that you cannot recover from. Now, I can give you a specific example. I had a team once where they were very frustrated with the tool they were using. Yeah. I tried the tool myself and I was like, Jesus, I would be as well. And I made everything that I could to replace that tool. And it was a long process. So while I was doing that, I made sure I kept them informed. That's also the thing, communication. Hey guys, I know you're still using the old tool. I'm talking to the CFO now. I'm evaluating, keeping them in the loop so they know I'm on it. So if they don't have any news, it's not because I forgot about them. So you keep the trust going until you have the tool. Took me 1 quarter, but they were informed at all times. So they said, okay, we'll just keep using the other one because I know my manager is on it. So no need for me to get frustrated because this will be solved soon. And it was. Okay. So these are the things you should be doing to keep the motivation up. Now, funny enough, okay, and that's the spiff, going back to the spiff question. Once I mentioned to my leadership saying, hey, we need to change this tool because it's pretty bad. It's not working. My team is frustrated. And their answer was, how about the spiff? And I was like, no, absolutely not. So this is a perfect example to illustrate what was mentioned just 10 minutes ago.
That's such a great examples about keeping that motivation boosted. And before we come just to you, Matt, there's a question going along the bottom of this LinkedIn Live. Do spiffs work for you? And that can be either you as a manager or you as an SDR. Just answer yes or answer no if spiffs work for you. It'd be great to see what the consensus is on the LinkedIn Live. Matt, I'll turn it over to you and let you add some more color to what Mafalda said.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a wonderful example. I think it all comes down to, and we've said it all already. It's like, your team's going to feel good when they're doing well or succeeding and things like that. So, that comes back to how you set your targets. Like, are they achievable? And are they getting support and developing, right? You tick those couple of boxes, and it's really easy to make someone feel good about themselves because they're going to be achieving on targets. So I think that's probably one of the most important things to motivate people. But there is an element of also incentivizing the things that we need our sales team to do. So look at the different behaviors. There's different commission models you can take, and I can give some examples of quite an interesting one. I don't know if that's for now or later, but that's how we do it. And I think that will have more of an impact on motivation of your team than spiffs. The spiffs are the added extra. They're the, we're already doing okay. Let's have a little push. That's where I think that can be useful with spiffs, but it has to be done in a way where you're also further enabling people to do well. It should be a stretch goal, this is not let's get to goal with it. It's we've already hit it. Let's over exceed. Let's stretch even further and so on. So that's probably my 2 cents on that.
Nice one. So let's move on to the next question. Matt, we'll come back to you for this one. Are spiffs the only thing that should boost motivation?
Absolutely not. I think we've come in quite. We've slammed this door open, I believe, on this topic, and I think if everyone watching, you should 100% not. 100% not. Motivation stems from all of these other things that we've already mentioned. So, make sure you've got a tried and tested go-to-market that has success, because then you can get other people to replicate it. Make sure the targets are achievable, so people can get to the 100% or above, and then that's how you're going to make them feel like rock stars. Make sure you as a manager, you're always there developing your team. Growth comes from learning things. So if you want your team to feel like they're growing, and they also say that growth is completely tied to happiness, right? That's one of those things. If we grow in life, we feel happier about ourselves. You need to obsess over that as a sales leader. And as a sales rep, you need to obsess over that as yourself. You don't have to wait to your sales leaders to come to you about these things. Get yourself better, find out what you need to work on. Yes, spiffs are not the only thing. No.
Yeah.
There are other things, Mafalda, that.
Yeah. So I think, like in sales, in life, you should ask before assuming anything, right? And each person is different. And when you have a team, you also should understand what motivates each person individually. And you should understand that from the beginning, when they're happy, not when they are already, again, I would like to highlight this proactive approach. You really should avoid them going, everyone has a bad day, but going to a state where your team is down every day of their life, then you should really avoid that. Again, understand what motivates each person. It can be money, it can be career progression, it can be growth, it can be feeling good about themselves that they're doing a good job, it can be rewarding you saying, hey, great job, reinforcing that, showing to the other people, mentioning when they did something to everyone, recognition, right? So you should really understand what moves each one of your employees and double down on that. And I can tell you many times it's not money, their main thing. And spiffs are usually money. So right there, you start in the wrong foot. Again, it's a nice boost, it's a nice to have, but it's not the main thing. And a lot of times what I see in many companies is, when you, for example, promote the wrong people, when you maybe have an internal, position available, and you don't even consider anyone from your team, and you hire externally only, these kind of things, like, why am I in performing all the time, getting rejected all day long until I get a yes, when then suddenly when there is a position open, they don't even ask me. But again, is your job as a manager to not only know the motivation of each person, but also their career progression. So, for example, I had the top BDR in my previous company. She told me from the beginning she wanted to work in ops, RevOps, as a next step. We didn't have anything available. So I told her which courses she should take on the side. I gave her a couple of RevOps tasks as well, and I was very happy because I didn't want to do them, and she did. So, and then once she started to take a bit of functions here and then, I told her to change the title on LinkedIn and say BDR plus RevOps. So if we couldn't open anything within the company, she'd be more likely to take a next step in a different company. So as a manager, unfortunately, I cannot create nice opportunities out of nowhere in my company, but I can help each one of my team prepare in case one day it opens, or in case they would like to move on in a different company. And that's your job as a manager.
Very good. Yeah, that's you can't really say much else after that. And I think it's so critical as well, as you said at the start, what motivates and what drives people, because money is always a factor, but it might not be the only factor. And I think it's really important to understand those points. And you, as if you're on here currently as an SDR, it's something you want to communicate to your manager. If you're a leader, SDR leader, it's something that you want to be able to have those conversations with all your team. So we're halfway through, and I just wanted to pause for a minute and just say big thank you to Comsor, who are sponsoring our LinkedIn Live today. Comsor unlocks the power of your networks, enabling you to scale business, amplify your resources, and increase your presence in ways that traditional marketing or advertising channels can't. With Comsor, you can fill your pipeline with more warm intros, get more referrals from customers, and leverage your social proof. So to learn more, check out comsor.com, and I'm going to put a little link in the chat in a few minutes to talk a little bit, and that shows you a little bit more about what Comsor do. So moving on to the next part of this, it'd be interesting. We're about to enter the summer holidays, many of us. For some in Sweden, you've already started for the midsummer. We're going to be starting soon until the end of August, start of September. But it'd be good to get an understanding, Matt, from your side. Does the data prove a drop-off in performance of teams during the holiday periods?
Cool. This is a topic as old as time, as long as sales teams have existed, right? The answer is yes, if you do the same thing in summer as you do in every other month of the year. So if you've got X number of leads that you'll be contacting, it's the same number of calls, same number of emails, naturally there's going to be a drop-off because people will have time off. But the one thing that's really important to note here, not everyone has time off. It's not like suddenly summer hits, every single person on the planet is out of office. That's not the case. It's just there's a chunk of people who are on holiday. So I always think this was summer. If you're going into summer and you're expecting your output and you want your output to be the same as previous months, you need to increase your input. Call more people. So for those who implement the double dial approach, some people love it, some people hate it. Don't do a double dial in this time. Call twice as many people instead. You need to get through more people so you increase your chance of finding the people that aren't off on holiday. I'm happy to argue about this one to the end of the time. I don't know if you two disagree with this or agree with this. Happy with either. But yeah, that's my opinion on it.
I've my opinion that there's always going to be people who are not going on holiday. And it's that projection piece as well, because if you think that you're about to go on holiday, then it means that 6 billion people around the world are also going to be going on holiday at exactly the same time. It's not always the case. That's why
that'd be wild.
Yeah, Mafalda, I'll let you out.
I agree 90% because I think there is one exception, which is Scandinavia. I work for a Finnish company, and they're all going on holiday for a month in July.
Really?
Yeah, I never seen that in my life. I'm super surprised. There is a shutdown really in the Scandinavian countries. So my answer is, if you only prospect Scandinavian countries, then I disagree with Matt. If you have some other countries, then I agree with Matt and with Dave. And I remember in my previous company where we had, we didn't have a lot of limitations territory-wise. It was a great time to try to approach the US because they have way less holidays than Europe. So yes, so I would say I agree with most of it, unless you
Yeah,
are
that's fair.
Scandinavian countries.
Are we sure your Scandinavian SDR hasn't just told you this just to make sure they've got the
No.
summer off on
I
you?
actually, he's actually working, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that that he had literally nothing to do. But yes, that's something I have
Yeah.
to solve for the time that he's actually working.
Yeah,
There
that's
was
an
a-
interesting one. I mean,
I was going to say there was a Swedish AE that used to work at a previous company he finished at midsummer, and our fiscal quarter ended in July, and so for 6 weeks he just didn't work. He just closed his number by midsummer, and then
fair play.
you couldn't hear from him. He would not be responsive until the 1st of August. And it was just crazy.
Reach.
Work-life balance. That's incredible. That's
That
that's
is.
a
I
great
know.
target. Work-life
I've never
balance.
seen anything like that in my life. Kudos to them.
Yeah, we all need to move to Sweden, I think is what we're trying to say.
So, a couple of quick fire tips on this as well, like, because I think a lot of people get nervous going into summer for this exact reason. It's going to be harder to get in touch with people and stuff. And also people sometimes suggest that they should have a lower quota. I'm probably a bit hardcore with it and would suggest otherwise. Like I said, double your output, get in touch with twice as many people, but also be absolutely on point with your out of offices. It's really easy to take an out of office from someone that you're emailing and just put the end date, and then just put that in your calendar. Because, for example, people don't know, other than our Scandinavian example, how long are people's holidays realistically? A week, 2 weeks. So that gives you a lovely chunk of time at the end of a month to have a list of hopefully 30, 40, 50 people that you know about. So it just takes a bit of a shift of organization, and also the shift from mind game of, I might struggle today getting in touch with the same amount of people, to I've got another option either way. So everyone I don't get in touch with, I'm gonna call them like crazy when I know they're back.
Yeah. And also, I would say, like, yes, the out of office emails are super useful. So you know when the people are back, and sometimes they have the phone numbers that you couldn't get otherwise. But also, if you still do some lead gen events, you still do some webinars, you know who is attending, and usually summer is a bit slower. So people who are working maybe have not as much pressure because some of the colleagues are on holiday. So maybe they're more likely to attend the webinar. And if they do, you have that intent data from the webinar. And there are still some conferences going, so maybe talk to your marketing team and go to some conferences and prospect there if you have some budget. So those are the people who are not on holiday. So yeah, I agree with Matt. Actually, I think my best quarter of my life as a BDR was the Q3. Yeah, but my marketing team was very strong, and they put me in a lot of conferences on that quarter. So
Yeah, it all goes back to, as we said at the start, building out that structure of motivation and keeping that team, putting those pieces in place for them to be positive in driving performance rather than the other way around, which doesn't drive performance. So we're coming near to the end, and I suppose the last question that we had for this, and Matt, we'll start with you, is what power does an SDR leader have to make profound changes in boosting motivation?
This is an interesting one to answer, because I think if we roll back the clock, right, I think the profound change starts with hiring your sales reps.
oh yes,
right?
yes.
Because actually you can find yourself in a situation where, especially if you inherited a team and they're naturally not motivated, it's a very tough thing to get someone who's naturally not motivated to become motivated. That takes a long time if you're going to get it done. So I think the profound change starts with the people you're hiring. Look for the people with the grit, the empathy on the call, the competitive nature, And I think you've got half the battle already won, and that will have a huge impact on everything. That, in my opinion, you get a team of that, profound change. Then outside of that, it's around process and setup. So one of the examples I can give on this is something I've implemented pretty much every company I've ever been at, was actually shifting how we do commission. So the value of data is huge. We can use it in so many different ways. We can help shape products that we're selling with it, but short term, the data that I collect is really important to my sales reps and my SDRs, because it's people we can call back at a later date. So, you know, a lot of the time we do something called a qualification form, where we put a chunk of their commission in the ability just to collect data of prospects. And it'll be maybe a fifth of their commission, but every day it's something where I know I can earn a bit of money today, because I'm just going to ask a few more questions with the people I'm speaking to. And the behavior that changed was incredible, because we went from meetings being handed over to AEs where there wasn't enough qualification and there was frustration building and stuff like this, to maybe you've given me a bit too much information here, but you know what, I'm going to clarify this with the people. The customers then feel like they've been listened to, which is incredible. So, but that was using you know, incentive, which is a long-term incentive, not a spiff. I just want to clarify, to motivate a very specific behavior, which has long-term profound effects, which I'd highly advise to everyone.
That's cool. That's a cool idea. Mafalda, we'll finish with you.
Hiring super important. Absolutely. If you hire people who are not resilient, unfortunately, it's hard to, you know, a lot of the motivation comes from within. So hiring is super important. But answering your question, Dave, how much power do you have? I mean, you don't need the authorization and permission of your boss to train your team. You don't need the permission of your boss to make processes that don't involve, I don't know, new tools or something that, you know, drives change. You don't need the permission of your boss to talk about career progression, suggestion courses. A lot of companies have learning budgets, or Udemy. My company has Udemy. So I know one of my SDRs would like to maybe move on to BAE one day, and I found a discovery course there. It's included. So you don't need the permission of anyone to do any of these things. And you also should stand up for your team. If you are a manager, it means, or it should mean, that you know how to say no, and you know how to show some authority to people above you in the hierarchy. So if you think that some decision will affect the motivation of your team, change of targets, change of tools, whatever, you will have to make a case to your boss and say, I disagree with these because this, and that. This is my alternative because this, and that. That's the ROI or the things we're gonna impact, and fight for it. And if you lose the fight, at least you tell your team, this is what I tried. I failed, but this is what I tried, and they will respect you, and you know, and they'll be a bit less demotivated, you know, if you don't get so. But you also shouldn't have the attitude of like, oh well, the CEO decided, what can I do? You know, yeah. Maybe you cannot change the whole thing, but maybe you can minimize the impact of that decision, you know.
Brilliant. Okay, that's a great way to end it there. So Mafalda, Matt, thank you ever so much for today. And
always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for this season of our LinkedIn Lives. Maybe we'll be back soon. Who knows? Watch out on SDR Leaders of EMEA. See what happens. It was great to speak to all of you and have all these questions that came through over the last 3 months. And thank you ever so much. And we'll see you again soon, maybe. Bye.
Cheers, bye.
I'm trying to end this now, and I can't find my mouse. Oh, this is really awkward. Okay, bye.
We end the same way we started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute chaos.